Yo, what's up? So it feels like at this point, every single day, I'm gonna have to do an update to the Activision Blizzard stuff just because more and more stuff comes out, or more people are talking about it. It's like a snowball that just never, ever, ever ends, and just keeps barreling downhill until like it hits the final layer of shit that it's gonna hit before it just pitters out. But we have, I have three articles I'm gonna go over today. One of them talks about Nintendo's response to this whole issue, or maybe not Nintendo, but um, the Nintendo of America president, his response, and then two other articles talking about some more other developments within the Activision Blizzard case itself, or not case. It's not part of the lawsuit. It's just part of the company. So we'll talk about those things. We'll break it down like we normally do. And as always, let me know what you think down in the comments. Do you agree with me? Disagree with me? Love to hear it. If you enjoy this kind of content, please like and subscribe to the channel. It encourages me to do a lot more stuff, and I'm trying to push to make this at least somewhat of a full-time thing, maybe hopefully in the future. But anyway, for now, let's go ahead and get into these articles. All right, so report Nintendo of America president says Activision's harassment stories are distressing and disturbing. Nintendo of America joins PlayStation and Xbox in condemning Activision's culture of sexual harassment and toxicity. Yeah, so a couple days ago, I made a video talking about how PlayStation and Xbox both kind of slammed Activision for their treatment. Now, the irony here is that PlayStation now has their own sexual harassment lawsuit, so maybe we'll talk about that since, I mean, it's a little bit weird that they have like their own lawsuit going on while they're condemning Activision, but I haven't really looked into it that much, so maybe it's not even nearly as bad. Well, I can almost guarantee it's not even nearly as bad because it would be hard to even come close. But yeah, we'll talk about that probably sometime in the future. So, Activision's self-serving response to historical allegations of abuse, misogyny in its workplace has been drawing a lot of criticism lately. From shareholders demanding the resignation of CEO Bobby Kotick, that was a really small group of shareholders. If you remember, we talked about this. It's not insignificant, but it's just not enough to actually cause any major changes right now. It could get bigger, but right now it's just not that big. So staff staging multiple walkouts. Now Nintendo of America has reportedly joined the chorus that was unhappy with the performance of Kotick and his board of directors. A fanbite reports an email sent to all Nintendo of America employees by President Doug Bowser. Oh, is that how they got the name Bowser? That's interesting. Last week addresses the situation opening with, along with all of you, I've been following the latest developments with the Activision Blizzard and the ongoing reports of sexual harassment and toxicity at the company. I find these accounts distressing and disturbing. They run counter to my values as well as Nintendo's beliefs, values, and policies. Now, this is very similar to what I talked about with Activision. With Sony and Microsoft, or I guess PlayStation, Xbox specifically, with their response to these things. It's like, this is pretty much what you'd expect a company to say, or at least the CEO to say. Like, it doesn't really mean much. It's all really PR-y, but it's still like, it's better that they say this than not say this, right? Because if they're not saying anything, then it's almost like kind of some kind of implicit agreement. I think you basically have to say something. So I mean, this is pretty much where we're at with pretty much all these companies. The email then goes on to say that Nintendo staff has been in contact with Activision and have taken action and are assessing others with no specific mention made of what those actions are. Yeah, that's really interesting as well. So this is kind of similar to the uh, Xbox One where it said like, oh, we're negotiating between like what this means now. Where PlayStation pretty much just said, hey, this is bad, but Xbox and apparently Nintendo as well are saying like, you know, we're now reevaluating our relationship with this company, and we're actively doing so, not just talking about it. I think that's good. I think that means that there's some things happening behind the scenes here. I think that's really interesting. This follows similar company-wide emails sent last week by Xbox boss Phil Spencer and PlayStation's Jim Ryan. Now, we went over this, so I'm not going to reread these emails again. Just go watch my previous video. But yeah, we talked about those. Kotick reportedly told Blizzard executives last week that he would consider resigning the position he's held since 2008 if he can't quickly fix the culture problems at the video game giant. Now we're going to talk about an article right now that goes over this, so we'll see how that goes. Culture problems that, it should be noted, he has had over a decade to address, and has at times even worked directly to protect from scrutiny and punishment. That's true. We went over the Wall Street Journal article as well, which was a really long article that went into some really deep details about other problems the companies faced from, like, yeah, like they said, like a decade ago, that he was directly involved in, some cases that were maybe brought up against him a little bit. So yeah, that was really interesting. I also went over that, so go check that out as well. But here's the article that I'm talking about, where it's going to talk about his statement. So, report Activision CEO Bobby Kotick will consider quitting if he can't fix company's culture. The Wall Street Journal report says he met last week with executives and senior managers. Besieged Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick, who last week has been subject of staff walkouts and shareholder calls for his resignation, has reportedly said he will consider leaving the company if he can't speedily address the harassment issue that have made headlines around the world this year. So I don't know how speedily he's supposed to address this, right? Like, everything he's tried so far has kind of fallen apart. He tried to appoint a female lead, or at least a female co-lead, to Activision, or to Blizzard. That didn't work out. She left because she wasn't being paid the same as her male counterpart in the same exact position. What else did he do? He said that there's going to be a no tolerance, a new no tolerance kind of policy that they have when it comes to sexual harassment. That is yet to be seen, but I mean, I guess I believe him, because if he doesn't, it's going to look real bad. But based on his past, like, where he's tried to help people who are under investigation for sexual harassment and sexual misconduct, I find that hard to believe as well. What else did he even try to do? I mean, the previous walkout, so not this most recent walkout, but the previous employee walkout, got them to strike forced arbitration for harassment lawsuits. So that was a good thing, I guess. So they did strike that from the contracts for the forced arbitration for harassment. That's a good thing. But I just don't think that a lot's been done. They did fire like 20 or something people. We went over an article talking about that. I mean, if you, and I know that a lot of people are also leaving the company as well. So, I mean, at this point, it's just like pure like triage. They're trying so hard to like cut or stop the bleeding from every possible wound that they have, but they have so many. Like, I don't know. It's kind of hard. So we'll see what they end up doing. I don't know what quickly means. Like, is it a year, 2 years, never? Like, what does it mean? Like, he doesn't really explain anything. The Wall Street Journal says Kotick met with Blizzard's executives last Friday and told them that he would consider leaving the company if he can't quickly fix the culture problems of the video game giant. The Wall Street Journal report adds Mr. Kotick, who has led Activision for 3 decades, stopped short of saying he would step down. Yeah, big surprise. He would step down in a Friday meeting with executives of the company's Blizzard Entertainment unit, but left the possibility open if misconduct issues across the company weren't fixed with speed. Yeah, this, like, okay, I hate Kotaku. If you've seen a lot of my other videos, you're going to understand that. These 3 fucking articles say the exact same fucking thing, okay? Why would you do that, okay? If you're just going to copy this, like, quote twice, then just put it up there, okay? You literally just said the same thing 3 times. It's so fucking stupid. I hate Kotaku. Do better. It's also said that at a separate meeting on Friday, top executives of Activision published relayed to Mr. Kotick that some employees wouldn't be satisfied unless he resigned. According to those people, and that Mr. Kotick said he was ashamed of some of the incidents that had happened on his watch and apologized for how he had handled the unfolding problems. Okay. I mean, obviously some employees aren't satisfied. There's people walking out like over this most recent issue. This is going to be the second walkout that the company's had since this entire like thing started, which is crazy, right? And then on top of that, like, this other part is like, he's ashamed of how he handled the incidents. Yeah, you're ashamed now that it came out, right? And then it came out that he drafted the email that Townsend sent out, because that she got roasted for, and he drafted it, and then he directed it to be sent under her account. It's like, yo, what the fuck, man? This is like so fucked. Like, you should be ashamed. You should have been ashamed all the time, like the whole time. You should have like come out with how ashamed you were at the beginning. You shouldn't have been so combative at the beginning. I don't know why you thought it was a good idea to frame other people in your company for some bullshit that you wrote. Like, it's all so fucked. Like, I just can't. I can't see this guy as a good person at all, right? Like I'm gonna bring this up in probably every video. You should never treat a company like it's a person, like it has a good or bad narrative, like it has a good or bad in like idea of what it wants to do. Like companies just want to make money, but you can do that for the people, especially the people at the top, and a lot of the time it can describe with how the companies run, at least to some degree, right? And at this point, I feel like everything bad that's been happening recently has just been a direct result of Kotick's leadership, right? Like he's just such a bad person. It feels like this is bullshit. Kotick took charge of the reborn Activision in 2008. Those culture problems he's talking about are a systemic level of harassment, misogyny, and abuse, fostered through years of cultural neglect and at times reportedly committed and protected by Kotick himself. Yeah, this is 100% true, right? The systemic level of harassment and misogyny and abuse, it doesn't become systemic unless it's codified into like their rules somehow, right? Like, uh, and that could be through implicit biases, right? So Kotick hires people who think like him. Kotick himself is at least slightly misogynistic, so he hires people who at least are slightly misogynistic. I mean, I'm not gonna say everyone he hires is, but most, like, he's going to notice those people more. He's gonna kind of relate with them more, okay? And then those people, so on, so on, so on, so on. And I don't think even Kotick was like the worst person at the company. Even it's just that it goes downhill like that. So like after Sabi was probably the worst person at Blizzard, and it went downhill like that because these people, like, if you're misogynistic, you're not gonna promote a woman unless she's like gone so far beyond the bar you set for anyone else that it's like unreal. And that's why it's a problem, and that's why these misogynistic tendencies get like they become like a cancer in the company, and they just like sit and they grow and they become worse and worse and worse and worse. This is true for all cultural issues pretty much. It's always from some top level, right? So if you see something like if you're at work and you see that there's an issue with a team at work, right? Like all the members on that team are racist or something. Like I'm just gonna use some random example, and no other team is like that, then you can assume that is their direct report, right? But if like you see a department that's racist, then you can assume that it's probably the department head. And if the company's racist, then it's probably the company head. And we're seeing that this is so deep throughout the company that it's more than likely going to come down to how Kotick has ran the company throughout the years. Um, the lawsuit which blew the doors off this whole thing became public knowledge in July. Yeah, he has had months to address this. Instead, during that time, he oversaw the appointment of the first woman to co-lead Blizzard, only for her to, yeah, we talked about that too. Then saw it reported that Kotick himself took part in the instance of abuse, including, yeah, her abuse that she talked about. Well, he was there, but he didn't take part. Like this is all right, this is not true. Like Kotick didn't take part in the abuse. Like it's not like he was like, "Oh, it's my turn to abuse her." No, that's not what happened. He was like at this party where she felt like she was abused, right? Like from the way that it was reported, like Bobby Kotick didn't abuse O'Neill. He was just at the place where she was abused. So, although he did start the party which had a lot of weird shit going on, like strippers and stuff, but he didn't take part in the abuse. Okay, so Kotaku, you gotta fix your writing. Um, and no, he shouldn't be considering quitting. He should have done it. Yeah, I mean, I don't want him at the company, but obviously he's led the company successfully so far. So that's it. You know what I mean? So with that, we now have this Activision damage control reach a sad new low. Sorry. And we're going to talk about this. So the company is forming a workplace responsibility committee led by two current members of the board. Okay, and we don't necessarily agree with the board for a lot of the like. Well, it's unclear whether they knew some of the stuff that was going on or not, and so maybe they didn't act within the best interest of the like stockholders. But we'll talk about that a little bit. So faced with internal unrest, plummeting share prices, and growing public relation disaster, the men and women at the very top of Activision Blizzard, the senior executives and board of directors, should all be resigning. Um, I don't know if they should all be resigning, right? It depends on how bad this gets, but yeah, I can see that. Instead, they've put out a desperate press release in the middle of the night announcing the formation of a workplace responsibility committee. Okay. This committee will apparently oversee the company's progress in successfully implementing its new policies, procedures, and commitments to improve workplace culture and eliminate all forms of harassment and discrimination at the company. Policies that reportedly won't retrospectively apply to the conduct of CEO Bobby Kotick. Yeah, obviously not. The people in charge aren't going to put a policy that retroactively fucks them. Like, why would they do that? No. Like, that is obvious to me. Activision have appointed the only two women in this 10-person board of the directors to lead this committee. Okay, to be fair, I'm pretty sure a board of directors is like elected, so it's not like this can't be like seen like they're trying to imply that this is a problem with Activision Blizzard, but these people are elected, right? So it's not like the people at Activision Blizzard like appointed them there. They were elected by the stockholders. But you could argue that a lot of the stockholders are people who work at Blizzard, so or Activision in this case, so true. On a 10-person board, directors led by a committee, and will soon be adding a new diverse director to the board. Okay, to join them. And just how will this committee work? I'm pretty sure the board has like a bunch of committees anyway. So like if they feel like they need a committee to oversee this stuff, then they make a committee to do it. Like that seems kind of normal to me. So, like I don't know if it's that crazy. It could be like a Hail Mary from them, but it's not like a crazy Hail Mary or like an unprecedented Hail Mary, right? It's like a pretty normal calculated one, I'd say. The committee will require management to develop key performance indicators and or other means to measure progress and ensure accountability. Now, if you've worked anywhere, like your eyes probably gloss over when you see like key performance indicators. But I feel like it's a little bit different when you're talking about like how a committee is going to assess the like actual effectiveness of the company in certain areas, because it's not like a key performance indicator for a specific employee, but it could be like executive level, but it's like a key performance indicator for for the company. So like that's a little bit different. Like that makes sense. Like you want to be able to measure the performance of the company, because in the end, like if an employee isn't meeting like a certain KPI, it's not the worst thing because they could be doing other things that aren't really measured by a KPI. But if you're the board and you're on this board and your role on this board is solely to address this like specific thing, then I guess it makes sense. I mean, it's whatever. And or other means. And or other means. Like what? I mean, like, yeah, I don't know. What other means would you have? Like, I wish they would explain. Whatever. To measure progress and ensure accountability. The Chief Executive Officer, Bobby Kotick, along with the Chief People Officer and Chief Compliance Officer, will provide frequent progress reports to the committee. Okay. This should have already been done, to be honest, but whatever. Which will regularly brief the full board. The committee is empowered to retain outside consultants or advisors, including independent legal counsel, to assist in its work. That's good. So, I mean, I think this is a good thing to have like a new committee for this. So the committee, consisting of 2 members of the board, will brief the board, of which Kotick is a member. Okay, yeah, that's true. And outside advisors can be consulted, but there's no mention of input from Activision Blizzard's nearly 10,000 strong workforce. The announcement closes with, while the company, with the board's support, has been making important progress to improve workplace culture, it is clear that current circumstances demand increased board engagement. Formation of the committee and additional future changes will help facilitate additional direct oversight and transparency and ensure that the company's commitments to Activision Blizzard's workforce are carried out with the urgency and impact. This has been a challenging time across the company, but the board is confident in the actions underway to set the company up for the future success. I'm not confident at all. What the hell? Why would you be confident in anything that this company has done? The fuck? It's been a challenging time because Kotick and other senior leaders have helped foster, then protect, a culture of harassment and misogyny at the company, while the board of directors, made up of many Kotick's old pals, continue to lend him their full support. They did nothing in the 10 years preceding the lawsuit that blew this all up. It's true. And when given the chance to make changes in the months of since July, installed Blizzard's first woman co-head, then drove her out, feeling tokenized, marginalized, and discriminated against. Yeah, they've really fucked up in their implementation of anything. Yeah, I agree. Like, but that's like mostly like senior leadership. That's not really the board. I don't know if the board really fucked up much here, other than the fact that there's people on the board who didn't disclose things like the lawsuit, or not the lawsuit, like the investigations and stuff. But to be fair, I guess the lawsuits weren't that big of a monetary challenge until they became public. I don't know. I feel like the board that was in charge of like knowing that stuff should have, or the committee should have told everyone. Like that would have made the most sense to me, but whatever. I'm not on a board, so I don't know if it's like standard for that to work that way or not, but it seems kind of bad. The workers and fans of Activision Blizzard don't need any more committees. No, but they do, obviously. This article's wrong. Least of all from the people who let them. No, but like that's not like the board of directors is like they're on behalf of the stockholders, right? So like the only thing that the employees could do to help is like unionize. They could unionize themselves. Like that's the only actual thing which they're trying to do. So if they unionize, then like that's the only thing that the employees really need, right? Otherwise, the committee is there to help the stockholders. Not really. It's not really there to like do anything within the company, right? I mean, they're there to ensure that they're running correctly with like discrimination stuff, but it's just there for the stockholders. So I don't know if this person just doesn't understand that or what, but it is fine. Anyway, that's my opinion on this whole issue. Now, let me know what you think down in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. I love to do this kind of stuff, so let me know some other topics or ideas that you are interested in hearing or that you like to talk about, and I'll go check those out as well. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Peace.